Hi everybody, today we're here in Stranded Alien Dawn, and this is after the animal taming update. Got a few hours in and I just wanted to kind of share what I found as far as how to tame an animal and some of the basics. I haven't really dived too deep into it. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff that I haven't learned yet, so this will still kind of be a basic intro to kind of what I've learned, and hopefully it'll help you guys start taming your first animals. I'm still on year one. It's still pretty early in the game, and I've tamed up a couple of these dromedas. And so let's just go over briefly how you get to taming animals. So the first thing that you have to do is research animal taming, and it is an other research that you can do. It takes like 6 hours. It's really quick. And it was one of the first things I unlocked as quickly as I could. Once you've unlocked that, what you have to do is you have to observe critters. You have to go find animals out in the world and observe them. Until you observe them, you can't tame them at all. So here we've got a couple of dromeda, and it'll say observe. You got to come here. You got to keep an eye on them and check them out. And then once the observe pops, then this little tame button will come up, and then the taming thing right here. So the taming section right here, once you've observed the animal, will tell you what kind of taming food you need, the base required skill, what happens if you fail taming, like if there's a chance that the creature will attack you, and then can you train that creature after it's been tamed. So for me, I wanted to tame the Dromeda real fast, but the barrel cactus that you need were very far away, so I wasn't able to do it until a little later than I'd like. But if you click on some of the other creatures, let's take a look at a couple others. I haven't looked at these guys yet, but here's the glutches. The glutches are not tameable. So after you observe a couple of things, you won't be able to. If you won't be able to tame them, it'll tell you right there. And then the other creature I observed was a Tecatli, those little carnivorous guys. And even though the tame button came up, if you don't have the food that you need to tame them, it'll tell you that you don't. But also you'll notice that these have a required skill of 5. And because I didn't take the new survivor who has a farming of like 7 or something like that, and has an automatic chance to, or insta-tame, I've got Krista as my farmer, and she's not at 5 yet. But you'll notice retaliation chance on fail is 50%. So if you mess it up, then they'll attack you. But these guys can be trained. So once I raise her farming to 5, I'll definitely try and tame these guys. Okay, so once you have the right food and you have the required skill level, you grab the person that you wanna tame them, and then you right click on the creature, and then tame Dromeda. They'll grab the food that they need, and then they'll come out here, and I'll just show you kind of how the animation works for taming these. So far, I haven't failed a tame on these guys, so we'll see what happens if I fail it. I'm not really sure. Probably nothing. They might run away, or if they hit that 10% chance, then they'll attack. And he'll walk right over and eat the food, and then he becomes tamed, or she in this case. And there we go. Taming succeeded. So once they're tamed, you'll see that they have the rename option, so you can give them whatever name you want. Heal, which you can make sure that they don't have to heal them, or if you're trying to slaughter them or whatever. And then the lead ability, so that you can't control the creatures themselves. You have to have one of your survivors lead them to a different location. They don't move very fast. And then you also have the slaughter option, which you just go up and you kill it. So you'll also notice that it has now a happiness stat and then the fattening stat. So happiness is just like your survivors, the type of food that they have and the enclosure that they have, and there's a lot of different factors. You'll see that their happiness right now is, oh, it's in pain. Oh, that sucks. was tamed is plus 50%, and so I'm not sure what happens if this drops past a certain level. If it's a carnivore, maybe that'll attack you, or maybe that kind of thing. Uh, it's not injured. Oh, an infection. Oh, so I'm sure we'll have to heal that once we get back. Um, so the way the fattening works is that the more that the creature eats, this bar will go up, and when it does, you'll notice that the raw red meat and the hides, the output when butchered goes up. Um, let's take a look at one of the guys we've already got. So you'll see that this guy's at a fattening of 25, and butchering him will get you 65, 63 meat and 50 hides. So this is a way to, what's the benefit if, you're not going to breed them or use them to train or whatever. I mean, you feed it for a little while and then you just slaughter it. You don't have to hunt them down or anything like that. So that's pretty awesome. You'll also notice that it has a bonding chance, and then bonded survivors. There's presumably some training in here that I haven't unlocked yet, as far as because these guys can't be trained. But the bonding chances is they'll bond with one of your survivors, and I've noticed that one of the advantages as well for the survivors when they get stressed out is that they'll go visit the creatures. So they'll walk up to the pen, they'll go in and they'll say hi and like pet them and stuff like that. And that gives them a big boost, the survivors a big boost to happiness. And it also gives the creatures a boost to happiness as well. You'll notice that they get a slept under a roof and slept in a bed, so that's where the animal shed and then the large animal spots where they sleep is going to go. And so there's an advantage to having these things just around, because the happiness bonus to your survivors is significant. When they bond with them, I'm assuming that gives them another big boost. As like when your survivors bond with each other, there's an achievement for having one of your survivors bond with a creature. You'll see it says bonded survivors right here. So there's a couple of advantages to having them, even if you're not going to slaughter them, or even if you're not going to use them to train or ride or whatever stuff they have available. Another advantage is that with the Dromeda, at least, they drop manure every day, once per day. And the manure now is a new ad for your crops. And so you can choose to have your crops fertilized, and that speeds them up quite well, and gives an advantage to how quickly they grow and output and that kind of thing. So the manure is a good advantage as well. As far as feeding them goes, you build the wooden animal feeder. You can sort by what type of food you want to put in here. Animal food, carnivore, herbivore, and it'll list all the different types of food that you can put in here. You can restrict what you want them to use. I don't want them to use any of the good stuff for my survivors, but they can use, you'll notice the carnivores can also just use hay. So if you grow and or just harvest hay out in the world, then that'll be a good source of food. And so it'll hold 3 slots. Presumably you can put a couple of these in here if you had a bunch of animals. I haven't found a limit to the number of animals, and there's an achievement for having 50 animals. So I'm assuming you can just have as many freaking animals as you want, which is kind of cool. We'll see how easy that is. They must eat a lot of food. But I've noticed people asking about slop and how you make slop. So you'll notice that the happiness effect is -12. I'm not sure if that's for survivors or animals. But it does last quite a bit outside, 48 days or 96 days under a roof. But anyhow, you build slop at the workbench. So if you go to the workbench, you go all the way down here, and you can build it with anything. It's just 20 raw food turns into 20 slop, and it's kind of a cheap way to just whatever you want to put in there. But if you've got meat lying around and if you've got plants lying around, it seems like it's better to not use the slop. The animals prefer the hay and then the flowers and then the slop. So I'm guessing the animals have preferences as well, and I'm guessing they do affect the happiness of the creatures. So I just make sure they're fed with hay, and as long as you have this turned off, your survivals will automatically grab what they have and go feed the critters when this gets low. So just make sure you keep a good stock of whatever food they need, and then that'll keep them happy. So I haven't seen any kind of restrictions on the size of the enclosure. These guys haven't had any penalties for the size of this enclosure, you know, as far as it's not big enough or whatever. I'm guessing you're going to run out of room. You know, if you start putting more guys in here, I'm wondering if I put that third one in here, you know, how that's going to affect it. But you'll notice I don't have room for a third large animal spot in here unless I put it out here. So, you know, I'm guessing it just depends size of the pen. And they don't even need a pen. Like they'll come and lay down on the animal spots on their own, and come to the feeding trough on their own. I just put this up to protect them because these guys are herbivores, so they don't really fight back. And then I've got a couple of those reptiles running around, so I'm kind of put them in here to protect them a little bit. But if you've got a big, you know, walled area, I'm guessing you just put them in there and let them wander around. Especially once you start getting dogs. I haven't found any dogs yet, but I'm super excited to find some of those guys because dogs are rad. So I'm guessing you don't have to have a pen, and if there's any effect to having them penned in, I haven't noticed that yet. But I'm just doing this to keep them a little safer. So as far as training and stuff goes, I haven't messed with that yet at all. I haven't started slaughtering these guys. I haven't seen if they breed. So I'm not sure. I've got a male and a female, so and they're both listed as maturity as yes. So I'm guessing they will, but I'm not sure if they do. So we'll have to see if that's a thing. It would make sense that they would, and that would help you not have to go out and hunt or tame more of these. So I'll let you guys know once I find out how that works and if it's there and how training works and all that stuff. But those are the basics for how to tame creatures. You unlock taming in the research bench. You go observe the creatures. It'll tell you what you need to tame them. You have a person with farming grab the food that they need. You go out and you tame them, and then there you go. And you got all sorts of cool stuff that you can do with them. We'll assume. As far as what ranching unlocks, these are the 4 things that you unlock when you unlock animal taming. It's medium animal spots, large animal spots, animal feeders, and animal sheds. So yeah, so it's fun. It's a cool ad, I think, and it'll be interesting to see, you know, how far we can take it and all the cool things that we can do with taming creatures. So hopefully this helped, and let me know if you guys have any other questions about taming or about this game in general. I'm really liking this game. I really enjoy it a lot. So we'll talk to you guys later.